All right, so in this video, I'm going to show you and really myself how to basically get a stereo recording of Zoom. The problem is if you're working with musicians or if you're transmitting stereo sound through Zoom, on the other side, people can hear the audio as stereo. So here I have a live Zoom kind of session running. And if I go to Zoom preferences, and I play like music, for example, out of Ableton, and I'm sharing that, and if I come to new share, for example, and I make sure that the share sound is checked and I go to stereo, the people on the other end of the Zoom call are going to be able to hear the playback in stereo. The problem is when Zoom records that playback and gives you the link. So for example, if I come over to Zoom, and here, if I come over to recorded, these are all recorded meetings. And these meetings, the audio is not stereo, it's mono. So even though people can hear in stereo in a live Zoom call, the recording of that session is not stereo, it's in mono, and that's very annoying. And so what you have to do is you have to use something like Audio Hijack. And what Audio Hijack is going to do is basically just going to record the audio out of Zoom as it is, so as stereo. And then what you can do is you could record that as a WAV file and replace the mono audio that you get from the Zoom download, the Zoom recording download. You can replace that mono signal with the stereo signal. And of course, you just need some basic video editing software like Camtasia. That's what I use. But let me just kind of walk through that really quick. So I'm just going to create a new session here in Audio Hijack. So assuming you have Audio Hijack downloaded, we'll create a new session. I'm going to do blank, and I'm just going to grab an application. And again, what we're going to do is we're going to record Zoom in stereo. So I'm going to grab an application and we're going to select an app. So I'm going to go to select application. We're going to scroll down and I'm going to select Zoom because that's the application we want to record. A really important next step here is going to advanced and turning this checkbox off. This is really weird because basically what's going to happen, this is checked by default. We want to turn that off because that means Zoom is going to record any input device, so for example, a microphone, and pan it left. It's going to be playing back through the left channel, which is really dumb. So I'm turning that off. What I want is I want to record exactly what people hear out of Zoom. And so that's when I turn that off, that's what happens. So it's just going to record whatever's playing back in Zoom, whatever the stereo information out of Zoom is, that's what this is now going to be recording, which is exactly what I want. The next thing is then setting up an output device, but here we want to record this. So I'm going to drag this recording device here. I'm just going to configure this as a WAV file. You can kind of do whatever you want. I'm just going to do a WAV file. This is music, so I want it to be pretty high quality. I'm going to do 16-bit. We're going to do a sample rate of 44.1. And then I'm just going to do some flat triangle dithering here. Really unnecessary, but I'm just going to do it anyway. Okay. And then one last thing is, since basically Audio Hijack is going to hijack the audio from Zoom. So out of Zoom, Audio Hijack is going to hijack that audio and it's going to send it to a recorder device. But what I need to do is I then need to route that back to my computer output so I can hear it. So I'm going to select just an output device. I could do system default, whatever I have as a system, but I'm just going to select my Scarlett Solo USB audio interface, which is this guy right there. And obviously that's being outputted to my headphones. And so now the Zoom application, the audio from the Zoom application is going to be recorded in stereo, wonderful, as a stereo WAV file, and then I'm going to be able to hear that. And so while my Zoom meeting is in progress, right, people are able to hear it in stereo. It's being recorded in stereo, and then I'm still able to hear everything. So it's just basically going to be recording in the background, a stereo file in the background. Two more things I'm going to add to this really quick is I'm going to go to the basic effects here, and I'm going to select the volume one, because if we have audio playing, and you can see this is a very large and loud waveform. So if we have audio playing and we have people talking, then it can obviously get a little bit loud and it can clip. It can cause a little bit of distortion. I don't know how Zoom really handles that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn the volume down to 80% here. And then I'm also just going to get a little meter, a peak RMS meter, and I'm just going to drag that in there. And so I could just kind of monitor how the waveform is Yeah, just make sure that nothing's clipping. This isn't getting in the red. Okay, that's what I just want to make sure. It's not getting in the red and clipping, so I get a nice, clean wave stereo file. And so that's it. So right now I have a live meeting going. And so if I go to new share sound, of course, I'm going to go to the stereo high fidelity. I'm going to select Ableton as the application that we're going to share. And if I press play here, okay, I'm going to come back over to Audio Hijack. As soon as I press run, you're going to see everything is going to be going perfectly. There we go. See that? And so let's stop Ableton. I know you can't hear that, but here you can see that it was recording. It is still recording even though I've stopped Ableton. So I'm going to hit stop, and now we have a recording. So if I go over to recordings here on the right, and then you can see right there, so here are the blocks that we were just adding. If I go to recording right there, this guy right there, then you can see here is a recording. If I go to right click, reveal in Finder, this is now the wave file that I can drop into Camtasia to replace the audio file. So if I come to Camtasia and if I do a new project, and if I have some video file in here, I can right click and go to split the audio from the video. I can delete the video file, or I could just go to the video file and mute the video file. And then what I could do is I could come over here and I could just drag this recording in, and I can use this now as the stereo audio for the Zoom call. All right, and you can see it's quiet. I'm just kind of gonna come over here, turn off auto normalize. And if we come to 100%, you can see that since I turned it down by 80% in in Audio Hijack, it's not too bad. Like, it's not clipping right there. It's we've got a little bit of headroom, and so that's kind of why I did that minus 80% thing. I can also come up here into Audio Hijack, or I'm sorry, into Camtasia, and I can just change that output here to maybe like 80%. And so we're just going to get a nice amount of headroom there, so we're just not going to be clipping anything at all. But that is how you record Zoom in stereo. Okay, now there's one thing I want to add to this video, and that is actually that's it. Hope it helped.